The best two words in sports. Game 7. It will make or break you psychologically. Guys asked me, are you worried about the 7th game? And I said, no. Let them worry about us.
Game 7, not much more hype than those two words in sports. After an all-time Jimmy Butler performance, will the Heat have the ultimate comeback to those that doubted them and close this one out on their home floor? Or will the Celtics bounce back yet again and claw their way to the Bay? It's do or die, all or nothing. Game 7 with a trip to the NBA Finals on the line. And welcome into Hoop Streams, coming to you live on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and the ESPN app. I'm Cassidy Hubbarth alongside Monica McNutt, Ros Gold-Onwude, and David Jacoby. And it's a little rainy outside today, and our guy kind of took a spin. I'm sorry, buddy. You're going to see what happened.
I was walking to the game. I was worried about being late. There's a little slanted, painted sidewalk. I might have just, boom, fell over. I'm playing injured. I feel like most of the players.
It's your flu game.
Most of the players in this series are injured.
Yes.
And I am also injured as well.
Right. Come on.
Like everybody is injured in this series, including myself.
Are you okay?
I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
That's taking one for the team regardless. I'm glad you're okay. And speaking of injuries, though, we're going to have actually people out on the court, the full rosters, because Tyler Hero is active, will be available. He's warming up with an intent to play. He's missed the last 3 games with a groin injury. He's passed the test needed by his training staff. And, you know, when Eric Spoelstra was asked about the decision process, they said all hands on deck. It is Game 7. It's do or die. So we will see Tyler Hero. Maybe. We'll see how many minutes he gets. We don't know what kind of restrictions he's under going forward. But what we did see in Game 6 was Jimmy Butler go off. We were wrong, guys.
We were all
None of us expected to be here tonight.
We were dead wrong. I was hopeful to get to Miami. I didn't know that they would.
You're right.
I was hopeful we would be here. Okay, so you said you were hopeful. I want to get your thoughts on the one word you would use to describe Jimmy Butler's Game 6 performance, Mom.
Iconic, I think was my word when I said earlier. I mean, it was absolutely necessity. I mean, he answered the bell in the most urgent moment of the Heat season, and it's iconic for me.
Ros?
For me, the word is heart. I mean, he had every excuse to pack it up and head to the offseason. Everybody's injured. There were excuses kind of laid up there. Guys, don't forget, I spoke with Jimmy Butler, and he told me the thing he thinks he does better than anyone in the league, he said, is I am brutally honest. I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm going to tell myself like it is. Whether you like it or not, the tone may not be right, but it's because he knows what people are capable of. And he said, I've never been the best, but I can outwork people. And that's what I saw in Game 6.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, the word is buckets.
Yep.
When you
Jimmy
47 points, no highlights. He didn't dunk on anybody. He didn't cross anybody.
No highlights.
He just got
That
buckets.
1-3. That 1-3 was
He had 1-3. He had 1-3.
With the
But
shot
how do you
clock
put
going
up
off?
47 points and barely have a highlight? Like, it was just bucket after bucket after bucket.
Yeah.
Like, he was
another
just,
word.
I'm not going home. We are winning this game, which is, I really thought that the Celtics were going to play the Warriors like Draymond Green, but I have no idea what's going to happen tonight.
You just said something interesting, how Jimmy was like, I'm not the best, but I'm going to put that effort out. When Monica said that she thought Jimmy Butler was the best player remaining in these playoffs, we scoffed at it. I scoffed at you.
I did
Really?
too.
Come on, Monica.
Oh, now we're getting the Monica face.
Hard. That was there. He called me a
He got the finger.
Don't point at me. Don't point at me.
But and so my word is appreciate.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Jimmy Butler has been that dude, but he doesn't get, to use an overused phrase, he doesn't get his flowers because he doesn't put up all these types of highlights. So I just am appreciating an all-time performance. This wasn't just an all-time Jimmy Butler performance. This was an all-time performance. And we'll get more into those Game 6. And, of course, NBA Twitter had their own way of describing things because the memes are popping off in Game 6. How about Jimmy Butler?
That's how I felt after I fell.
Oh, my goodness. And then, you know, Twitter king, Josiah Johnson, I don't really understand. Do you know this Fast and Furious?
What are you talking about? You don't watch the Fast and Furious?
No, wait, so who's Udonis
Tom
Haslem?
Toretto right there. That's Tom Toretto, the God.
I know, but who's Udonis in this?
Udonis is the one helping him, holding him up.
Oh, okay.
It's like Tom did all the work, and Udonis is there as like the OG to help him.
I mean, The Rock looks like he ate The Rock, and that's saying something. Okay, let's move on. How about this nod to The Last Dance? Draymond Green.
That's it. That's it.
That's the one.
I took that personally.
That's it.
That Michael Jordan meme will last forever.
100%.
To me, this was my favorite one. They mashed Game 6 LeBron with Game 6 Jimmy. And I actually asked Spo after Game 6, because he was talking about, you know, this is where you make a memory. And I asked him, since he coached LeBron during that Game 6 performance, like, how would he compare? He didn't love the question, but like, he didn't love it.
Good on you for asking
But
that.
Good job. But he goes,
got a little awkward,
it got a little awkward, but like he said, you know, I don't really remember, but I can see the comparisons, and you know, LeBron and D Wade, they may need to open up the club, just like how D Wade tweeted this. He said, "Make room, King James. Jimmy Butler has entered the room." So let's get into like where Jimmy's Game 6 performance ranks all time, as we look at some of the greatest Game 6 GOATs, which include LeBron James. Jacoby, where would you rank his Game 6 performance among these guys?
Look at all of these. There's a big difference between the one that's all the way on the right. Is the one all the way on the right didn't win the series yet. If you look at all these other ones, they won the series. So Jimmy needs to close this in order to be compared. But I have Klay Thompson. Game 6. Like this, you got to remember, this team was the best team by far. They were down in this series, and then Game 6 Klay came out, and he was just a flamethrower. Like everything he threw up went in. It was on the road. It was a wild. I'll never forget this in my entire life. This Klay Thompson performance.
You know what? I think it's Game 6 Klay as well. And I actually was with the Warriors. I was their sideline reporter for that run. And I remember during that 93, what was it, 93-7 season? 97-3, what was it? I forget now. But wait,
73-9.
73-9 season.
I was like, 93 games? The math ain't mathing. The math ain't mathing.
The years are starting to stack up. And it was the first time I saw them shaking up.
And they were down in that
They
game.
genuinely looked like a little bit like not sure. And it made me nervous because they seemed like superheroes that year. And I'm gonna tell you, Klay told me he was gonna do that. Klay said he was gonna lead the team out of it, and he did it. Also, Jayson Tatum, Game 6 versus the Bucks. I think it was an arrival moment for him, and I think that he can hold that into today's Game 7.
Me and Monica agree. You go.
Well, yeah, I mean, the game that kind of won it all.
Right.
You know what I'm
Only
saying?
finals Game 6.
The actual 50 piece that
Finals
led to the
Game
chicken
6.
nugget run. The actual final Game 6. I got to go with Giannis on this list as the best one. And guys, I think for me, not only was this the championship clinching game, but it was how Giannis did it. Remember we were saying Giannis couldn't make no free throws, and he went to the line and hit them free throws like it wasn't nobody's business. Okay, so I got to go with Giannis.
I would just say the fact that Giannis is not the overall, like, without a doubt, number one, further proves to me that his finals performance was underappreciated.
Yes.
That's all I'm, you know, because it should be. It won the finals. It was 50.
Yeah. And I do think there's something about like how guys go about this, right? Like Giannis is just such a dominant physical presence that sometimes it does make it look easy. And you're right. We don't really grasp all that has gone into it.
Regardless.
Point about the free throws too.
Yeah,
like,
like the free throws were
counting down
huge.
the free throws, and that was a big
10,
problem for him.
9,
And then he was up to 40,
Yes.
50 at one
And
point.
both sides of the ball, the impact he had. He was guarding guards and big men.
Right. Regardless, though, Jimmy Butler's performance is in the discussion, and PJ Tucker said he told Jimmy, go get 50. He didn't get 50, but he did give him a head nod. PJ also said this to SVP about the motivation, Game 6.
It couldn't have been stronger, honestly. We sit in the locker room with a bunch of guys, all you guys, everybody just said, Boston, it's over. It's over. The series is over. You know, they're getting ready to play the Warriors. That's all you need. Tell Draymond I said I appreciate it.
And then check this out. Udonis Haslem added this onto the whole Draymond comments. Draymond broke the code. You ain't supposed to say some like that. That's disrespectful. He know better than that. Jacoby, I mean, first of all, what code? But whatever said code, did he break it?
Well, Draymond felt like the rest of us. After Game 5, we all felt like this is going to be the Celtics and the Warriors in the finals. We all felt the same way as Draymond did, but...
Is that a code, though?
No, he didn't bring a code.
It's a new
Now,
code.
you guys remember, Draymond was kind of coy initially when Shaq posed the question.
But he now gets checks.
Right?
He gets checks now from
is
Turner.
he's towing the line on both sides as
Yes.
media. At first he didn't want to answer though, right?
Right.
At first, remember?
He said, this is who I think we're going to play.
I'm on your side. What code, number one?
Yeah, what code?
Number two, Draymond don't care about your thank you. He lives for this. And then now y'all talking about thank you. Y'all going into Game 7.
Right.
Warriors are
They're
still
at that
resting.
point. He's chilling.
He's chilling.
He loves
Number
it.
two, I think you keep that internal. You don't need Draymond getting all the credit for why you elongated your season. Isn't it enough motivation to keep playing? I was like, nah, y'all doing too much with that one.
I also wonder
Too
if
much.
Draymond did that on purpose. Because matchup-wise, we all agree that the Celtics are the more intriguing matchup.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's fair to say.
I mean, I'm just saying, what code, and also Draymond's back chilling,
And the
just
Warriors
watching.
are resting.
And I mean, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. You know, if the Heat are still fired up, if they can take them on in the Bay. I guess that's the last point. All right, let's move on because we are at Game 7, and guys, we saw one of the best Game 6 performances by Jimmy Butler. What are some of the legendary Game 7 performances? And we got to start with the Kobe to Shaq alley-oop. What do you remember about that play?
Well, the Kobe Shaq alley-oop, what it was the button on the championship. The second that ball went through the hoop, it was like, we had the Larry O'Brien trophy, this series is over, we won everything. That's why that moment sticks out so much, because unlike this one, it is over.
Okay, you were actually courtside for Kawhi's buzzer beater against the Sixers. The bop, 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 bop.
I think it's still on the rim now.
Right, right. It was like it kept bouncing and everybody was just like, but I'll always remember the unhinged emotion from Kawhi Leonard. He's so
Never
cool
seen that.
all the time. It gives me goosebumps to think about it. Like, I was watching him on the court, the teammates grabbed him on his arms, and he was like, oh!
Crazy.
I was getting goosebumps, and it was like, I think it was validation for the entire country of Canada and for Kawhi.
Right.
No,
Right.
legit.
Kawhi was upset because he felt, I think, hurt by the Spurs and how he was shown there, and he felt better.
They also got validation when they beat the Warriors. What did you think of, though, LeBron's block on Iguodala?
I remember standing straight up on the couch and like screaming at that.
Yes.
I'm like, yo, like wait a while, like he got it, oh my God. That was, and I think so many moments are iconic on the offensive end.
Yes.
And so for that one to be one that lives in lore as a big moment on the defensive end, like, woo.
I was there too. The game was so stagnant. It was like nothing was going.
Everyone was so tired.
It was like a lightning bolt. Like Andre was open, and then he wasn't.
And then Kyrie's three, of course, too. But, I mean, Monica, do you feel like, I have to be honest, I haven't loved this series that much here. The Game 6 was entertaining. Do you think we're going to see more of a blowout tonight, or do you think we're going to get another all-time legendary Game 7 performance?
Do you realize Game 6 was the first time we had a single-digit lead going into the fourth
Exactly.
quarter? Like in this series.
That's a more eloquent way of saying I haven't really enjoyed
It's the whole
it.
series. Here's the deal, and this is the one reason I don't feel like Draymond broke any code. The conversation was how injured the Heat were.
Yeah.
It wasn't like just picking team. It was just, dude, they got an armory in terms of injuries. Do they have enough? I don't know if they've had enough time to recover because they basically took half of Game 5 to get ready for Game 6. You know what I mean? And the day in between. I don't know if they've had enough time to manufacture that level of performance. But what I will say, the Heat to me have the mindset. I question the personnel. The Celtics have the personnel. I question the mindset in terms of their ability to close.
I think the Celtics are tough mentally and ready, and think about what they've overcome all season. This is the team that they were talking about breaking them up, or that overcame a terrible start, that stayed together through it, that have an identity around defense, that have overcome the Bucks and Kevin Durant and Kyrie and swept them. I'm rocking with the Celtics.
What about you? You think this could be an all-time Game 7?
When you watch Jimmy Butler Game 3, Game 4, Game 5, he was injured, he wasn't himself, he wasn't scoring, he wasn't aggressive. Same thing with Kyle Lowry, and they would do their press conferences together, and they would not make excuses. But when what they did in Game 6, the two of them, was so surprising and shocking that makes me feel like tonight, anything is possible. Anything is possible tonight. The Celtics have a better roster, but Jimmy Butler in a closeout game, I cannot bet against it.
Look, this is Game 7. You know, we've seen everything. We've learned a lot. Teams have fallen apart. They've come back. So I want to get an overview from what we've learned in this series so far. And you guys give me who's done it best. And we're going to start with the coaching. Who do you feel has done the best job coaching so far in this series, Jacoby?
It's got to be Spo. It's just the injuries that they're dealing with. It seems like at least 7 rotation players have been injured or in and out of the lineup. And the way that they have a new starting 5 every single game. So I've got to give it to Spo just because of what he's dealt with the adversity.
First of all, Spo is one of the greatest coaches in our league. I'm absolutely going to give him his flowers. But I'll take this moment to point out how great Ime Udoka has been. He's got a team in the Celtics that have really bought into an identity of defense that have worn on this Heat team, injured or not.
First-year head coach. I'm not going to say rookie head coach. I'll say first-year head coach.
First-year head coach, a black coach. I want to shout out how important that is just for the representation. And then also, I think we empowered role players to be ready to step up. Derek White is stepping up and ready for his time. Rob Williams, injured, is stepping up and being ready. I think he helps these guys mentally.
I will also echo Ime. Give him a shout out, and this is my favorite trend in coach hiring in the NBA. Former head coaches, black head coaches. I think Ime helped pave the way with his success, but I gotta go with Jacoby. I think it's Spo because, dude, Max Strus and those guys had shot 0 of 85 in the last 2 games, and he's just remained so steady. Yes, he has 4 surly, and he used the term gnarly competitors in the veterans that have championship experience, but this team is not where they are without those ancillary pieces. And so to coach through that is a big deal.
And I think we saw like really 2 distinct Spo impacts on coaching adjustments, specifically at halftime in Game 1 and how they came out in that third quarter, and then last game, what they did against Jalen and Jayson defensively. That stands out to me, and I think that Spo's the best coach in the league, so I think that's what makes me kind of lean towards Spo being the best coach so far in this series. Let's go now. Maybe the more Jimmy Butler love, but who do you feel has been the best player throughout this series, Monica? Yes.
We know who you're going to say.
I mean, it's Jimmy Butler. Listen, I think this argument for me would have been ended if not for the ebbs and flows of Jayson Tatum, who is between those two in my mind. And even if you want to go Jaylen Brown, who has been steady when you look at what he's averaged, sometimes I wonder if he's impacted the game in those clutch windows of time. I mean, this is a team that's 1-4 in clutch games so far in the postseason, and so that's a very wild stat. I got to go Jimmy Butler. When he's on, we literally see the night and day difference for this Miami Heat squad.
Ross?
All that she said and more. Jimmy Butler, for me, I think he set the tone early with a 41-point game, and then to keep the season aligned with guys that have not been healthy or bringing it with him, 47 points in Game 6. I think as an individual player, he's had the most impact of any individual player in the series so far.
Very great point, because Jimmy Butler has single-handedly won them 2 games. Game 1, Game 6, he's like, I'm doing this by myself. I'm willing us to win. But honestly, when I was asked this question, I texted our producer like 7 times to change my answer. Because just like this series has been so back and forth, no one has truly been consistent through the 6 games. I went with Jayson Tatum just because Butler wasn't there Game 3, Game 5. And Marlon Williams has been in and out. So for me, Jayson Tatum has been the most consistent best player, but it could be any one of 5 or 6 people to answer this question.
I got to go with Jimmy Butler. I hear your point. But when you make the impact he made in the wins that they had, I mean, he's the second player with 2 multiple 40.4 steals game. That was your biggest point as to why he was the best player still left, is that he on both sides of the ball. So the Jimmy Butler fest continues on. Lastly, we will see who continues on and gets to play the Warriors. But who do you think is the better matchup for the Warriors?
Well, I still do think the Celtics are the better matchup. When you look at the depth that they have compared to the depth of the Warriors, the size and their abilities on defense consistently, and if Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are on offensively, like, the Warriors are going to have to contend with that. As much as as we just praised Jimmy Butler, there's such a small margin of error if you talk about a Heat team matching up with the Warriors team with multiple guys clicking on all cylinders. I do think the Celtics are the better matchup.
I said last time, and I stay with it.
Yeah.
The Celtics play the Warriors hard.
Yeah.
They've been playing them hard for years. There's mutual respect. I think their defense wins in the long term, and that they can have a great series. I want to see a great finals.
Yes.
I don't want to see Jimmy Butler miracle the Heat into the finals, and then they fall flat because they're hurt. I'd rather see a competitive, ready to go, healthy Celtics team.
Oh, I love this part of the show when the music gets loud and starts to get hype in here. I love it so much.
They're about to come on the court.
Part of this show. But for me, it is the Celtics because of their closing five. Smart, Brown, Tatum, Horford, Time Lord. There is no one to hunt. There's no one to pick on. Their defense, every single one of them, they can switch anything. Which against that Warriors moving offense, they're like better suited to defend that offense that the Warriors have.
You guys said it all. I want to see a good finals, and not that the Heat wouldn't give a good fight. I want to see. That.
Point though, in the finals, you get 2 days off in between games, which will help the Heat health-wise.
Yeah. Well, we're waiting, just like the Warriors, to find out who will be in the NBA Finals, as we're just moments away from Game 7.
I was raised by the wolves.
And it's Jimmy Bucket's time.
Jimmy Butler continues his remarkable bounce-back game.
Find a way to win.
Jayson Tatum is lighting him up.
Tatum slams it home.
Three-pointer for the lead.
Got it! A miracle! The miraculous shot.
I was raised by the wolves.
It's time now for the main attraction, as we're just minutes away from Game 7 between the Celtics and Heat. Both teams have just come onto the court. So like I said, it's going to get real loud in here. So, you guys, let's talk a little bit more about Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who just went cold in that fourth quarter. They took just one shot each in the final frame on Friday night. Monica, what must Tatum and Brown do in order for this team to secure this win?
They've got to be assertive, but most importantly, their mentality has to be refused to be denied, right? Ime has talked endlessly about those guys being forced to play in crowds. You know what's coming at this point in this series, and so they've got to be able to adjust and trust their instincts.
Here's my key to the game. Not just for Jayson and Jaylen. They got to take care of the ball.
Yep.
Jaylen and Jayson combined for 10 of their 17 turnovers last game. The Celtics are much better and really unstoppable when they take care of the ball. I think they're like 11-2 in the postseason when they have 15 or less turnovers. It is key. Then they can just rely on their defense.
Great point.
To add to that, though, 12 turnovers and wins, 19 turnovers and losses.
Right.
You make a great point. They got to take care of the ball. I mean, this is Game 7. Anything can happen, but they also need Marcus Smart to beat Marcus Smart, and he's not 100%. We saw in Game 6 he wasn't effective defensively even against Jimmy Butler, which is what he does. So it's not just Jayson Tatum who can step up. They need a lot from Marcus Smart.
And because this series has had so many swings, the Celtics really haven't had that many clutch time games. And as you pointed out earlier, the stat about how they have the second worst clutch time record in the regular season. Although they went 4-0 in clutch time games in round 1 versus the Nets, that problem has returned over the last 2 series, including 0-2 in this series. So Jacoby, with these blowouts, do you feel like this trend for the Celtics in clutch time is a big concern heading into this high, intense Game 7?
You make a good point because they haven't really had those back and forth one possession games going back and forth in the final minutes until Game 6. And I'm going to say something that we've been talking about all the time, 2 words, Heat culture. It just feels like if it is tight at the end of the game, I believe in the Heat more than I believe in the Celtics.
It was huge for the Celtics. Those wins against the Nets, Coach Ime Udoka told me it was important for them, you know, to have close-out games. Each round showed them something else. Close-out games against the Nets, even though it was a sweep. Against the Bucks, Game 7, that type of pressure and adjustments, and now putting it together here.
Here's the part that I think I'm most concerned about when we have the clutch conversation. It's just the fourth quarters in general. As much as we've begun to have this conversation about the elevation of Jayson Tatum, a superstar demands the ball and creates something. Not saying it necessarily has to be scoring, but it's certainly not turning the basketball over, and it's making winning plays. Neither of those guys, but in particular Tatum, cannot shrink away from the moment if this game is tight.
And he hasn't really when it comes to the pressure being on him. He has stepped up big following losses. This team is 5-0 following losses. Do you read into that at all for tonight's game?
A little bit tonight, in particular because Al Horford had a funky game. Like, I think we forget how important he is to this roster. Out of it because of foul trouble early on, didn't score the basketball, but Ime pointed out he liked the looks that Al got. Those are shots that he typically knocks down because of the drop coverage. And so, if Al plays better, as much as we talk about Smart, those two both are important.
Oh, yeah. I was with the Celtics for their series against the Bucks. They lost Game 5 and then won Game 6 and 7. I want to give credit to Ime Udoka, who continued to bring confidence to Marcus Smart, who was struggling and turned it over. His team focused. They took care of the ball, and he empowered Jayson Tatum to come back and drop 40 keys. Ime Udoka is very important to their bounce back and power.
That Game 6 in Milwaukee, down in the fourth quarter, Jayson Tatum said, I am the superstar here. I'm going to get us bucket.
That's what you do.
This game because of me, and they're going to need that from him tonight.
But I think Ime Udoka is breathing life and poise into these guys.
I'm moving you out of the way. No, because I want to show Tyler Hero behind you, because he's going to try to give it a go tonight after missing the last 3 games with a quad injury. You know, when we have this access, I want to be able to show the people. But you guys, Tyler Hero is back. Kyle Lowry had a big bounce back game, and so did Strus. Has it been 7 games? Strus is loose. So, how confident are you in the supporting cast of Jimmy Butler tonight?
Oh, I'm very confident. I mean, again, cliches are cliches for a reason. Role players play better at home. I think they built a lot of momentum in Game 6. None of us expected to be here. Now that we're here, I feel like the Heat had the advantage tonight. With this energy in this arena, around this town, we all felt it today. I got the Heat tonight.
You know, the headlines are going to say Jimmy Butler dropped 47, but a huge reason they win that game is because Kyle Lowry came through with 18 points and 10 assists.
You're right.
He was a playmaker, and Strus came up with 13. Monica, basketball is a team game.
Absolutely.
And them hitting those shots, it allowed Jimmy Butler to do what he had to do.
Well, and just to add on to the team game, Strus is loose. 13 points, big time threes, like when guys come down the floor doing all this, momentum threes, answering the bell. Listen, candidly, Ime said that he was most proud of the Celtics' ability to take the initial hit. I thought through 3.5 quarters, okay, they took the initial hit. When it got tied, I actually thought that it was about to get tricky, but the Heat responded as a team to Robin's point.
So outside of the names Jayson Tatum and Jimmy Butler, who do you think has a big game tonight?
I think Al Horford bounces back. I don't know if it necessarily looks like points.
And finally gets to the finals. The player with the most playoff appearances.
I don't know about that.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay, so let me get your picks real quick before we bring on a guest. Who are you picking? You're picking the Heat?
Yeah.
And who is going to win the first ever Larry Bird Eastern Conference MVP trophy?
Game 7, Jimmy Butler.
I would love to be in Miami, but I got the Celtics.
And who's going to win?
Jayson.
Honestly, I have no idea.
No idea.
I have no idea. I gotta be honest sometimes.
I take it back.
I don't have a feel
He
for
picks.
this.
You gotta pick.
This is going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
I think I know who this lovely lady is picking. We see you every single game. Can you please tell us your name and why you are always in a beautiful gown?
My name is Radmila Lally, and I'm designer of this jersey gown.
And every game you're courtside. And how many of these gowns do you have?
I have so far 4.
4 of them?
Yes.
And how long have you been a Heat fan?
3 years.
3 years? And you have all these gowns?
Yes.
What made you have all these gowns?
Well, I wanted to be authentic because I like to wear gowns. And how do you become an authentic fan? You buy jerseys.
Well, thank you. We've all been noticing you every single game. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this Game 7 tonight. I don't need to ask you what your pick is tonight. Is it Miami all the way?
I think so.
Okay. Thank you so much. Guys, guys.
so much.
This is what.
Jacoby got to make his pick.
You got to make your pick.
I got Heat, Jimmy Butler.
Wow. Heat, Celtics, Heat, Celtics. That's right. And I'm going to say Al Horford is going to get. Sure. Why not? Why not?
The Larry Bird.
He can have a huge game. You guys, the two best words in sports, Game 7. Thank you so much for watching Hoop Streams. We'll see you for Game 1 of the NBA Finals Thursday night at 8 Eastern. See you then.